What you're about to watch is the raw, unedited recording of the Irritable Dad Syndrome podcast. Please listen at your own discretion. Here are your hosts, Mike and Darin.
Hey, I'm Darin.
I am Mike.
Welcome to Irritable Dad Syndrome. This is episode 131, and tonight is going to be the premiere episode of Irritable Dad Syndrome Raw on CATV in the greater Dayton, Ohio area.
Yeah, for people.
So welcome to all our viewers in Dayton, Ohio, who are watching on cable access.
Yeah, for
How you
those.
doing?
Yeah, it's Ohio.
It is Ohio.
So
high in the middle,
we've really
round on both ends.
Yeah, we've really expanded.
We have. It's our backyard.
So tonight I want to talk about the fact that I have exposed Andrew, my older son, to the Terminator series and how that's been going.
Fantastic. I'm no longer allowed to pick the movie at our house because the last 3 movies I've picked, 2 of them were good, one of them was horrible, but it left the whole house on a downer.
That's understandable.
Yeah.
I'm going to talk about the fact that Marbles remains, let's say,
Right. Yeah, Marbles is Mike's dog.
Yeah.
Who keeps escaping.
Yes.
Yeah, last week, right after the show, you let the dog out.
Yeah.
You let the dog out.
He's maybe 3 to 4 inches tall. And what I mean by is Booba is about 1.5 feet tall.
Okay.
Can't get over a fence to save her life.
Right.
Marbles is 3 inches to 4 inches tall.
He can get under it.
He can get under it. He goes over it.
Okay.
Best said she watched him. He climbs up a thing and he jumps over this thing.
Okay.
So
Yeah, but we had wrapped up the show. You let the dogs out, and I was getting ready to leave. And then you're like, oh, great. The dog's out.
yeah,
And I said, do you want me to help? And you're like, no, we got it. And what you don't realize is probably 100 times when we used to have Conrad, our stupid beagle, when he would get out, I'd have to chase the stupid dog up and down the neighborhood. And so I'm like, okay, if you don't want any help. And I'm out to the car, and then, boom, around the corner comes Marbles, and your son Charlie is chasing him.
Yeah.
I'm like, well, here we go.
Yeah.
So I go just for nostalgia, and I start chasing, and I start yelling at the dog like he's going to come to me. He won't come to you. Why is he going to come to me? You know?
So you are Darin. You are not a part of this family.
No, I'm not.
And you're out there trying to find my dog.
Yes.
Meanwhile, I was standing in the house looking out at your car, sitting there, and I'm like, what the f*** is he still doing out there in the road? Why is he still here?
Right.
You were helping
I was helping
save my dog.
Charlie catch the dog. Well, I didn't want Marbles running out into the street.
Yeah.
You know, to the 2-lane there, and that would have been bad.
Then I felt bad about being pissy in
being
my
Mike.
head,
Yeah.
being myself. And
Anyway,
here we are.
so Charlie found Marbles, caught him, carried him back, and I suggested for the first time, I had a good idea. I said, Mike, why don't you get one of those spikes that you screw into your yard, then you hook a line to it, and neither you or your wife seem to have ever heard of that.
Okay.
It's like nuclear chemistry.
So
Hey, what?
The
We can do
first,
that?
our first dog that we had was
Yeah.
German Shepherd. Okay, Molly.
Molly.
Otherwise known as Beaky, because all of our dogs have different names.
Beaky.
Beaky.
Okay.
Okay, she was, how do you say, a big dog.
Yeah,
okay?
she was a big dog.
And she would run at a full, run all around the yard like crazy. She kept getting out of our yard. So we put one of those spikes. We put a chain around her neck, and she ran full speed one day, and I was sure she was going to hang herself.
Yeah.
I was sure she was just going to break her neck, and that's the end of Beaky. She ran, and it snapped like the little hooky thing that hooks on the deal.
Yeah.
Snapped, broke, metal went shattered.
The collar.
Yeah.
Yeah, the
And-
hook or
no,
the
no,
hook?
the hook, the hooky thing that goes into the
Okay.
clasp,
Thank you.
as it were.
For Mike's good with words. Yeah, the clasp broke, snapped, shattered. Yeah.
Yes. And I remembered that, and I thought, well, this is not going to work with any of our other dogs. I have no size comparison abilities in my head.
Okay.
It didn't dawn on me that we had a dog that was practically a horse versus Marbles, which is like baby Yoda size, that maybe he won't be able to rip that.
Right.
Side note, same thing happened. He ran full speed across the yard, and Charlie and I were both watching it, and we were both talking, and we both stopped talking, and we watched him, yank, feet out, landed flat on his back,
Bonk.
and he said, and I quote, and then walked on like 3 of his legs. I mean, he had all 4 legs too. It didn't take off a leg, but he was only using 3 of them. I think I slammed part of his brain that controls that other leg.
Yeah.
He was not right. He was not right for about a day and a half. Just not good. He's better now.
Did it teach him a lesson?
No.
No, he still runs and does
no.
it? Yeah.
He doesn't run, but we've noticed that the hooky, the spiky thing that goes in the ground has been bending over more and more. He keeps ripping it out of the ground and bending. He keeps dragging the chain around a tree out there and getting himself caught on that. He gets himself caught under the deck. He got himself caught. He got himself caught on the table that we have on our deck. I came up with the brilliant idea. Laziness. It was like, we've got this 40-foot leash thing going out into the yard.
Yeah.
Let's connect it to part of the deck so that you just reach out, you put it on the dog, you throw the dog out, and they go be themselves, and they come back, and you let them in, and you clasp it back on the thing.
Yeah.
So I was doing that. I did that. I hear yelping and crying. I look out there. He's practically hanging himself next to the table. I remove the leash. I bring it around the other side of the table so he can walk normally. I come back in. He's yelping. He's practically hanging himself. I look back out there. All he did was walk back around the other side of the table, and it wrapped around the other way.
Yeah, because dogs are stupid.
He's not. Yeah. But see, I've always had smart dogs. Booba is a smart dog.
I have never once had a smart dog.
Yeah.
Every dog I've ever had was dumber than dirt.
This is the only dumb dog I've ever had. Okay. It is trying my patience. I used to, in the 80s.
Do you put a harness on him?
Bess does when she walks.
Because the harness would keep him from when he's out. Yeah.
But in my view, he's not parachuting. He doesn't need a harness. That's the way I look at it. In the 80s, I always was angry. There would be a lot of movies where there were all these kids, and then there was one doofy kid. Yeah. And it was usually played by Bill Murray or somebody. Yeah. And it was like, oh, everybody's mean to him and whatever. But I kind of see it, I'm like, hey, Booba. And then Marbles comes by. I'm like, okay.
Yeah.
Hey. I'm nice to him. I'm a loving dad to Marbles.
Yeah.
I don't want people calling it the ASPCA or whatever that is.
Right.
But he needs to smarten up, dude. He needs to get his GED. He needs to do something. He's
to go to night school.
He's unemployable. He does need to go to night school.
He is unemployable.
He is. He needs to learn a trade.
I
don't know, man.
Poor Marbles. Yeah. All right. Well, something that happened last week on this podcast, and we've had a request not to talk about it again, but we're talking about it again.
Yeah.
Mike told a story about how he pissed himself at a restaurant on Valentine's Day. And in itself was a very funny story. But we were listening to the podcast at my house. My wife and my kids were listening.
Yeah.
And a bunch of questions came up. And then I got really comfortable because my wife started asking questions about your...
Okay.
Was it doing this? Was it doing that? What did it do that? I was like, I'm like, I don't want to talk anymore about Mike's... Now it bothers me knowing that was like thinking about your...
It wasn't doing what it was supposed to be doing.
Well, obviously not.
At that moment.
But everyone in the house was fascinated.
Yeah.
Did he forget to pull it out? Was a question that was asked. And I thought, that's possible? That's totally possible. You get a little, I don't know, too many things on your mind.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is it... By the way, we'd like to welcome all of our Dayton viewers.
Hello, Miami Valley. Yeah. Yeah. So, So Libby and I had a conversation about your until I was like, listen, I'm not really comfortable talking about this anymore. So next time you see her, you will know that she has at least thought about your.
Well, here's what we can do. So one of the things that people say that they like are ask me anythings or let's talk about whatever's.
Right.
We could have a special. An Irritable Dad special where we talk about that.
Yeah.
Or we could not.
Right. So if anybody were to ask a question, you would answer any question that came up?
I would give an answer, whether it's honest or not. I mean, I will answer any question.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, we've talked about potentially having a segment where we give advice on things we know absolutely nothing about.
We did give advice at one time.
Yeah, we did. It was pretty good, too.
Yeah,
It was good
somebody
advice.
was asking about if he should change his job or not, and we gave some honest to God, really good career advice.
Yeah.
Yeah. I wonder if he listened to us.
I don't know.
That's a good
Wonder
thing
if
to
he's still,
find out.
if he's still with us.
No, he was here last week.
Oh, that's right. That's right.
Yeah.
And then you gave medical advice to that guy in
I
Africa.
did not give medical advice.
They don't have any health.
No,
he had no health care.
I did not.
He got on the. Yeah.
He asked why he farts when he walks, and I said, I don't know, but I'm stumped too. That was not medical advice, Mike.
See, in my expertise, in the way I view the world, if you have a problem with farting while you walk,
right?
A comedy show is the perfect place to ask that question.
I don't think that's a problem.
No,
I think that's entertaining as hell.
It is. Yeah.
Right. Sounds every other step you're walking on a duck.
If you can't laugh at other people's medical problems, what can you laugh at?
That's right. You got a point.
So, go ahead.
Go ahead.
No, I don't want to.
Speaking of awkward conversations.
Yes.
And I was debating not bringing this up on the podcast.
Okay.
Libby and I were having a conversation at the table. Mm-hmm. And it reminded me of something that happened while Libby and I were dating.
Okay.
And I'm telling the story to the kids at the table about how we were dating and we were back at her apartment and she went to bed and something else and then the next morning we did and Jacob's like, wait, hold on a second. Hold on a second. And then he figured it out that Daddy had spent the night at Mommy's house before they were married.
Oh.
And then he asked the question, wait, did, and then we're like, yes, that happened.
Yeah.
And then it came out that particular activity, we still engage in. And the look, it was very similar to when they found out that Santa Claus was no longer real. Like, wait, what?
Yeah.
One of my kids, who I will not name, thought that we completely stopped that after Cameron was born. Like, wait a minute, Cameron's going to be 15 in May. Do you really think that we've gone this long?
Yeah.
Do you really think that?
We'd like to welcome our Dayton viewers.
Hi. How's it going, Miami Valley? But yeah. So we had to, it's like, so it's out.
Are you glad you're editing this one?
Oh, yeah. But it was a fun conversation. It still happens. Tell me about the Terminator. You let Andrew watch the Terminator.
So
we watched it.
Okay.
And we did enjoy it, even though the graphics, it doesn't hold up.
Okay.
It's super, super cheesy, especially when he cuts out his eye with the thing.
Oh, yeah. It's like a sock puppet. It's like an Elmo.
Hello.
It's like they spray painted Elmo.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Every once in a while, I will play. I always play music when I'm cooking or doing things. And I do that in the mornings and Saturday, Sunday. And sometimes I do show tunes.
I love a parade.
No.
The Greatest Showman.
No. Like TV themes. MacGyver has been played. Airwolf on repeat.
Yeah.
Knight Rider, all those things.
Did it.
Yeah. And then I found a playlist with movies.
Okay.
And, it's going all of a sudden. Now, Andrew will wake up sometimes. Usually, he doesn't wake up until like 1 or 2 p.m. or maybe noon. That's the new thing.
Okay.
So I'm used to being down there in the kitchen alone while I'm doing this. Maybe Bess will come down. She'll get coffee, but the music doesn't faze her.
Right.
Charlie will be on the thing. All of a sudden, I see Andrew's head come up from behind the partition to the living room, and he just says, Terminator.
Yeah.
And then he slides back down. And I'm like, oh, this is intriguing. I was like, how do you know what the Terminator is? He's like, oh, I've heard of the Terminator.
Yeah.
It's like, you haven't seen, we could watch the Terminator. I think you're old enough to watch the Terminator. And so he's like, bet, which for new parents, that means yes. That's how, do your kids do bet?
Bet. I don't think I haven't heard
Ask
them
me
do
a
bet.
question that you know I'll say yes to.
Oh, do you have gas in your car?
Bet.
Oh,
That's how that works.
okay. Now I know that if I ask you something and you're lying, I say that's cap.
Really?
Yeah, that's cap. And then
That's cap.
if you're saying something and I doubt it, if it sounds hinky, that's sus.
Sus. I get the
and,
sus.
And I love being at the house and I'll tell Libby, hey, Libby, that sounds totally sus, yo. And she says, oh, yeah. And then Cameron says, Dad, please stop. Please, I'm begging you to stop. But bet.
Yeah, we're a bet household.
Okay,
we walk
well,
around saying bet all the time.
I'm going to use bet.
So we sat down. Now, people who have seen the Terminator realize that there's a scene towards the middle where flop out.
Mm-hmm.
I am not comfortable watching a movie that has with my kids.
Right.
You know, I'm
Yeah.
just
I
we
hear ya.
still he's 15
Mhm.
and it was coming up
Yeah.
so to speak.
Yeah.
And I was impressed. I was proud of him because I said, "Don't look at the screen. Cover your face." And he immediately just did that. Like,
Okay.
no, like what?
Yeah.
You know, anything like that.
Yeah.
And then I screwed it up. I went forward. I went too far. Came back and whatever. But I finally hit it just right. So
Yeah.
And then, it's kind of important to the plot what they do because
Yes.
that brings about John Connor.
Yes.
And I said, and I quote, "They did stuff."
Right.
Okay.
They did.
And then we continued the movie.
Okay.
But the most awesome thing about watching Terminator, and then we just watched Terminator 2 a couple nights ago, he knew nothing about the story. Nothing.
Oh, that's
So this was like, I remember when I watched The Empire Strikes Back with him.
yeah.
And, Darth Vader reveals that he's his,
Yeah.
spoiler alert,
Yeah.
he's his dad.
Wait, what?
This was like another one of those. Because when Kyle Reese comes in,
Yeah.
he thought he was another Terminator. He didn't realize that one was the Protector and one was the Terminator. He thought they were both Terminators. Like, oh, the machine sent two. That's smart.
Right.
And I'm sitting there thinking, actually, that would have been smart if they would have done that.
Yeah.
And then in the movie, they casually mentioned that they could only send people once. And then they destroyed the thing, so it's a one-way trip. And I was like, oh, because for years I didn't know that. Anyway, the point is, all the cool things that I'll be back hit with him. He thought that was awesome. I was like, dude, you have no idea how hard that hit in the 80s.
Oh,
I did.
I know.
I did look over at him, though, a couple times when, like what you said, Arnold is bringing the knife up to his eye, and then all of a sudden you see like a paper mache with pipe cleaner hair coming out.
Yes.
And ketchup going.
Yeah, because
like, oh my god!
just audibly laughed. We guffawed, as some people
He didn't.
say.
He was. Oh damn. He was all in. I mean,
Yeah.
he didn't laugh or anything of that stuff. We get to the end. Actually, we got halfway through, and he was like, "Is this a horror movie?" And I was like, "Yeah, it kind of is. It kind of is a slasher. It's basically a futuristic slasher movie. The first one."
Yeah, kinda. But at the end, when it gets really, really
Oh,
intense,
yeah.
when he's chasing her
Yeah,
through the metal, oh jeez,
But it's like
good lord, man.
But like the other one like that is Alien. The first Alien movie is a horror movie.
Yeah, also doesn't hold up.
I think it does.
the special effects don't
Yeah,
hold up.
they're very slobbery. I noticed that.
yeah.
They have so much slobber coming off
Don't
of them.
send hate mail. Still a good movie.
Still, yeah.
Still a very good movie. It's
Classic.
just the special effects.
So
yeah.
I'm all about Schwarzenegger movies now with Andrew because Terminator 2, dude, I was all in.
Oh, yeah.
One of my all-time favorite scenes of any movie. And again, he knew nothing about this. So you have a kid that only watched the first Terminator with his dad, and then a couple days later we're starting Terminator 2. He didn't know what the T-1000 was. In his mind, the first movie, it was a Terminator and a Protector. This one, he sees Schwarzenegger, Terminator, clearly, and he thinks Robert Patrick, the T-1000, is the Protector.
Right.
So the scene where they're at the mall and John Connor goes into the hallway and it has that steel with the
Yeah.
you see Schwarzenegger coming around, dropping the roses, cocking the shotgun up, and then you see Robert Patrick coming around with the gun. I looked over at him and his jaw was dropped.
Oh,
just,
yeah.
oh my God. And then and you see the silver glint like that. He looked over at me and I was like, yeah, brah.
Yeah.
Yeah.
high five?
Oh,
Did you chest bump?
dude, he
Let him have a beer.
he was all in. We were all over that. Side note, one of the people that was doing the special effects worked on the special effects for that movie in particular.
Yeah.
Adam Jones of Tool, the guitarist.
Oh, okay.
That's how he.
I think
that's what he did as his day job.
Yeah.
Yeah. And there's pictures and videos of him painting the little silver things on Robert Patrick.
Cool. Well, we had a moment like that a couple of years ago, and I believe I've talked about it on the podcast. Was when Jacob watched The Fugitive.
Oh,
okay,
yeah.
I've seen The Fugitive 20 times, easy.
Yeah.
Okay, and Jacob.
It was the one-armed man.
Yes, it was. Yeah. But watching it with him for the first time was like watching it for the first time.
Yeah.
And he's like, Dad. Like, what, are they? Is he gonna? Did they get him? I'm like, didn't watch the movie, you know? And it was just, I mean, Harrison Ford was perfect, and Tommy Lee Jones is perfect.
Yeah.
And that movie still holds up.
It does.
Yeah.
Terminator 2 holds up too.
Terminator 2, yeah, badass. Really cool.
The next one I want to watch with him, I'm gonna talk to him about it, is Predator. I think that's a good one to watch.
Predator is really good.
Yeah.
Total Recall was good.
Oh, I forgot about Total Recall.
Yeah.
But that one, when he's the lady and the face break, it looks really dumb.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
When he's like disguised as her, and his face is exploding on Mars. He's got those little golf balls that come out his eyeballs. And he's doing
what
that
was
thing.
the one where he
Jingle All the Way.
That one was horrible. That Last Action Hero was horrible.
Oh, I went to the I saw that in the theaters.
I did too.
It was him and that Chucky doll. They were, or whatever the kid was.
No, what was the one where he was on the plane and he
Commando. Now that's the one.
He's dead tired.
Yeah. After I get Andrew, after we watch all the classics.
Yeah.
You know, probably after Conan the Barbarian, I'll say now you got to watch Commando.
Yeah. Commando
because
and
this
Predator are the best.
Yeah.
Ones. Yeah.
Commando has him for like a minute getting dressed on the beach and putting the stuff around with the stuff and loading up like rocket launchers and everything. Walking out into a courtyard of a fortress with everybody shooting machine guns at him. He just goes, oh, so great.
Oh, and True Lies.
Oh yeah,
True Lies. Yeah. You've got to watch True Lies.
That's another James Cameron joint.
Yes.
And then another thing about Commando is one of my favorite things that Stallone did was Stallone on Conan O'Brien. He was talking about the rivalry between him and Arnold Schwarzenegger, and Conan was like, "You did Rambo, and then he did Commando."
Yes,
like, they got a huge laugh. I love that. I love that interview.
So Schwarzenegger had leaked that they wanted him to do Stop or My Mom Will Shoot. So he said he was thinking about doing it, and so Stallone did Stop or My Mom Will Shoot.
Yeah.
I love that. Major flop.
I love
Estelle Getty was hot in that movie.
I love that they had a rivalry, and now they're buddies. Like, I think that's so. If you follow either one of them on social media, they come together every once in a while, and they're just like smoking cigars. It's great.
Look it up. They presented an award. I think it was at the Golden Globes. And Arnold goes up there, and he says the nominees for best achievement. And he's like, "When are you going to learn to talk? How long have you lived here? It's embarrassing, you know."
You know that they're sitting there. They're a couple of scotches in, and he's like, I wrote my movies. Like I created the characters. I was governor of the state of California.
Get in the chopper.
Yeah, but Rocky. I mean, there's a statue built of me.
Yeah,
there's a Terminator statue at James Cameron's studio. Just they got.
Yeah. It's pretty cool.
But so I think Predator's going to be next. By the way. For people who haven't listened to all the other episodes, I got to point out that my dad took me and my buddy to see Predator and RoboCop when they came out. Mm-hmm. Without telling everyone exactly what my age is, I was way too young to see those. And this is something we didn't talk about, but I want to go into a little bit.
Okay.
Is how we view the 80s now, how people view what the 80s were like.
Yeah.
And I've seen a few like pictures of people have made their bedrooms with like neon everywhere, and they've got the Nintendo and everything all over the walls.
Yeah.
Posters of Rambo and all these things. It's like, this is the ultimate 80s room. The only meme that I've ever seen that tells how it actually was is this one that says, basically, no, it was the walls with the wooden paneling.
Yes.
It was a picture of a grandma, and you had maybe an Atari 2600 and possibly a Pac-Man t-shirt, and that was it.
Yeah.
We didn't have every console. We didn't have all the stuff in neon all through the rooms.
Yeah.
It wasn't like that.
My room in the 80s was covered with Billy Idol posters. I had so many Billy Idol posters in my room you couldn't see straight.
Yeah. I didn't even know where to get posters.
Yeah. Spencer Gifts.
Well, they
At the
only
mall.
had the posters of the at our mall.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah. That and Run DMC.
Oh.
And Run DMC, the Beastie Boys, and Bon Jovi, I think.
Yeah.
Is it?
But weren't Beastie Boys more 90s?
No, not Licensed to Ill.
When did that come out?
With the Jet? That was in the 80s. When
was it? Okay. Yeah, I can't remember.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How the hell
It
did
must
we
have
get
been late 80s. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know. Don't quote me on any of this.
Anyway, life did not look like a Trapper Keeper
No.
in the 80s.
No, it did not.
Maybe for the rich kids it did, but
Right.
for the rest of us, Stranger Things, when we watch the Stranger Things, like they're all in the basement playing Dungeons and Dragons with little figurines and little maps.
Yeah.
Okay, some kids did have that. Most kids didn't have the little figures and all the stuff.
Right.
And this may shock people, but back in the 80s, there was a huge push against Dungeons and Dragons. I mean, that's when it came out. That was when it was big. But there was like this thing on TV about how it's Satanism and it's witchcraft.
Now, did you play?
I tried to.
Okay.
Yeah.
I couldn't get into it.
I liked it.
It took way too long. I don't have all data. I really
That
don't.
wasn't my problem, was finding people that would play, and then,
Right.
people would take my stuff and throw it away because it's demonic. I was like, oh,
Right.
jeez, I have to go buy all these things again.
Well, where we lived in Virginia, part of the Bible Belt,
Yeah.
that wave of, oh my God, it's the devil's worship and all that stuff. And all the moms in our neighborhood had heard about it.
Yeah.
And most of them...
They saw the Tom Hanks movie.
Yeah.
Mazes and Monsters.
Mazes and Monsters. There's blood on my knife. There's blood on my knife. So most of the moms had heard about it and said, "Oh, my son's not playing that.
Yeah.
No, absolutely not." And my mom had seen it, and she asked me and my brother what it was about, and we told her. She goes, "Okay."
Yeah.
Just like, And so my brother and some of his friends would play it.
Yeah.
And nobody ever worshipped Satan.
Yeah.
Nobody ever sold their soul for a golden fiddle.
So
none of that stuff happened.
Where we got around it was we started playing Top Secret SI. That was basically Dungeons and Dragons, but it was James Bond stuff.
Oh, okay.
And Mission Impossible stuff.
Yeah.
You still had your hit points, you still had your armor, your special suits and all that stuff. It's exactly the same thing.
Yeah.
But then we got bored with that. So finally, the computer games, Dungeons & Dragons computer games came out. And the boxes on the computer games said Advanced Dungeons & Dragons official licensed product. It had a picture of a dragon and a dude with a sword. But parents were like, no, it's on the computer. It must be fine. It's perfectly fine.
But yeah, it's like without Dungeons and Dragons, how would you have known that, Lord of the Rings was cool?
Yeah.
I mean, come on.
Well, Dungeons and Dragons, here we're going to go down this pit,
Yeah.
just for briefly. Dungeons and Dragons was made... They wanted to have a game that was Lord of the Rings.
Yeah.
They loved Lord of the Rings so much, like, well, let's create a rule set around that and make a game from it. That's where that came from.
Yeah.
Whoop-de-whip.
Yeah.
We'd like to welcome our Dayton watchers to Dungeons and Dragons Talk with Mike and Darin.
Yep. Hi. So, I had mentioned at the beginning of the podcast that I'm not allowed to pick movies anymore.
Yeah.
Now, 3 weeks ago, on Friday nights, we have movie pizza night. Okay. So there was the four of us, and then my mom comes over and watches with us. And I'm going through Netflix, and I saw something that I thought looked pretty interesting. And what I do is I tried to make two choices. Okay.
Okay.
And we're going to watch this or this.
Saw or
The Notebook. Saw or The Notebook.
Yeah.
And I've told that joke before.
Yeah.
The Saw Notebook joke?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
So I picked two choices because, Jacob will want to, well, how about if we watch this movie about the serial killer? Jacob, we're not going to watch that. And then Cameron wants to watch something about the cartoon mouse who does the thing, and nobody wants to watch that. It's
Cartoon mouse who does the thing. I heard that's a good one.
Yeah. And so it's kind of gotten to a point where, we're having a hard time picking a movie. So I go through and I pick two. We're going to watch this or this. Okay. So the movie that I thought looked really good was this movie called Arctic. It's about
Arctic.
Arctic.
It sounds cold.
Yeah, it's
Snowy.
very cold. It's
Yeah.
a guy whose plane crashes in the Arctic. Okay, and it's Arctic North.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
And he is surviving on his own.
Okay.
He's able to catch fish. He can sleep inside his plane. And
Are there penguins in the north, or are they?
we don't
south?
see them in the movie if there are.
Okay.
Okay, we do see a polar bear.
You get Coke from them.
Yeah, that's true. You get killed from them.
You do.
Yeah. Now you said I can't use the rim shot.
You can use it on yourself.
Okay,
Yeah.
that's what she said.
But I did it.
So,
you were allowed one.
the rescue unit comes and finds him, and that copter crashes. Okay? The people who are in the plane, in the helicopter that are coming to rescue him, it crashes.
Okay.
There's a woman on there. She survives barely.
Okay.
But the pilot, he dies.
Okay.
So now this guy is like, well, crap. Now what?
Yeah.
Not only am I stranded here, I've got this woman that I need to try and take care of.
Well, there's more people to eat at this point.
Well,
Do they go to cannibalism?
No, they do not go to cannibalism.
All right.
So he's trying to save her,
Okay.
and he knows that time is limited
I
before she dies.
I hate to interrupt this.
Yeah.
Who's the actress that plays the woman?
I can't remember. I don't know. It's an unknown woman.
Okay, then she's gonna die.
Yeah,
If it was like Sally Field, then she'd end up.
it's Jane Fonda and Lily Tomlin. Yeah. So he knows that her time is limited.
Yeah.
So he starts hiking, and he puts her on a sled, wraps her up and everything to keep her warm, and he's hiking for miles and miles and miles, going over mountains and stuff to get her to a place where they can, and it's like, okay, I'm just going to spoil it. They eventually get found, but we're all exhausted, absolutely exhausted. Good movie, yes.
Yeah.
Was it a heartfelt, fun, entertaining night? No.
No.
Not at all.
No.
So I'm like, I'll do better next week.
Yeah.
So the next week, I'm looking through Netflix, and I find this really cool documentary about these people who went to a volcano, and while they were there, the volcano erupts. Okay? Right?
Pompeii the Revenge. Is this what this?
I can't remember the name of the movie.
Okay.
I can't remember the name of it. But now, hear me out.
It's a documentary, so it really happened.
It's a documentary, so it really happened.
That's
now,
what would happen to me.
last year,
Yeah.
we are on it was Disney Plus.
Okay.
And we were watching something on National Geographic, and we found this documentary on National Geographic about this teacher who took all these kids spelunking.
Okay.
While they were in the cave, it flooded, and these kids can't get out. There's like 24 kids and the teacher there.
Yeah.
And these scuba divers, these extremely well-trained scuba divers from all over the world, came down, and they figured out a way to rescue these kids.
Yeah.
Right? And so they're like, there's no way, because the kids had to be underwater for 24 or 25 minutes or something.
Oh.
And they're going to panic. They're going to have a... So they knocked them out. They injected them with stuff. They did. I don't know why that's funny. They
Just
yeah.
It sounds like something I would come up with.
They put him in the
just knock him out.
They put him
them
in
in a
thing.
bubble.
They put him to sleep.
Yeah.
And then but what they did, Mike, is they rescued every single kid.
That's heartwarming.
It was heartwarming.
Yeah,
Right?
that's a good
so
movie.
I'm looking at this volcano thing. I'm like, this is going to be awesome.
Yeah.
Okay, so we're going to watch this. And we're
They
going to
all
see
died, didn't they?
A lot of them did. A lot of the people who went to the volcano died. They died.
Yeah.
And some of them had to be left there. And my mom is sitting there just shocked. The kids are sitting there with eyes wide open and mouth at the floor like, what the hell, Dad? And and I'm like, I thought it was going to be the inspiring true story how they all survived.
Yeah. Next week we're gonna watch Eyes Wide Shut. It'll be a hoot.
So they've said I can't pick the movie. But now here's the worst.
Okay.
And I'm really going to spoil a movie.
Okay.
Jacob and Cameron went to this thing at our church. So
Okay.
Libby and I had the night to ourselves.
Okay.
And I'm looking through, and I found a movie called The Menu. Starring Anya Taylor-Joy.
Yeah.
And I don't know if you know her, but she's the actress who was in the chess movie, chess thing.
I don't know that. I did see your post on this, and I looked at it, and I convinced myself I would never watch this.
Right.
So I went ahead and read I read about 20% of the plot synopsis.
Yeah.
I know how it ends,
Yeah.
and I'm like, I don't think I would watch that.
It was one of those movies. I'm watching it, and there was one character in it who was her boyfriend or her date for the evening, Tyler, was entertaining.
Okay.
Even though if I met him in real life, I would just punch him. I would just clock him right where he stood. But Ray Fiennes was the chef at this exclusive restaurant that's in the middle of an island that you take a boat out. And there's no way to leave except by boat. And they're basically trapped at this restaurant. Yeah. And it's claustrophobic. It's annoying. And it's a hard, not a hard look, but it's basically a mockery of hoity-toity elite people who will spend like $2,000 on a meal, right? Because this is what we do, whatever. And I'm watching it, just thinking something's got to happen. Right?
One would think.
Right.
In a movie.
Yeah. Libby fell asleep.
Yeah.
And I just keep watching it thinking, okay, I've invested 45 minutes. I might as well just watch the last hour, 10. And it just kept getting worse and worse and worse. And then it was ridiculous how bad it was at the end. And when Libby woke up, I explained to her everything that happened in the movie. And she's like, what? And I'm going to spoil it. Okay. So spoiler alert. It ends with all the people who work at the restaurant. They cover the floor in graham cracker crust, dust, and chocolate and marshmallow cream. And then they put like a blanket of marshmallows around each person and like a hat made out of chocolate on top of them. And then they set the place on fire. And everybody dies like a s'more. Yeah. Okay. Exactly. Yeah. And I explained that to Libby, and she said, "What happened?" Yeah.
So it's kind of like Cloudy with a Chance of Meatballs.
No, it's nothing at all like Cloudy with a Chance. Cloudy with a Chance of Meatballs was amazing.
Yes. That's one of my all-time favorites.
It was. Now, movies. The sequel, no.
Yeah.
But the first one...
Except the way the guy moved. The bad dude.
That's true.
The way he did the thing.
I can watch Cloudy with a Chance of Meatballs anytime. I love that movie.
So the general look of the menu, and I know this had... Or is that what it's called? The menu?
The menu, yeah.
The general look of it
is
nothing like this movie that I'm about to tell you about. And I don't even know for sure if I know the right title of the movie or anybody that's in it, but it's really good. So good luck finding it. I think it's called The Invitation. Does that sound familiar?
It does sound familiar.
It's this guy and his girlfriend or fiance are invited to his ex-wife's or ex-girlfriend's for a dinner party.
I saw the trailer for it.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's a really good one. It didn't get very good reviews.
Right.
And you've got the critic reviews, the hoity-toity people that wrap themselves in marshmallows and set buildings on fire.
Right.
And then you've got the average Joe. Mm-hmm. Nobody seemed to like this movie, but I found it highly entertaining.
Yeah.
So, and then Beth and I watched it together, and she really liked it.
Okay.
So it something does happen.
Okay.
So as you're watching it, it's like it's one of those. It seems like it's not a movie you're gonna like.
Right.
It's like, oh, they're at a dinner party and they're just gonna talk about stuff, and it gets weirder and weirder until it's like, okay.
So 2 interesting things about the movie was that, like all this stuff that's happening.
Yeah.
One of the waiters in the movie stands up and kills himself.
Okay.
Just puts a gun in his mouth and kills himself. And I was like, what? Oh my God. Is this part of it? Is this part of the experience? What's going on here?
Yeah.
And then, but they just stay there.
Yeah.
The people at the restaurant, the clients, could have gotten up, could have fought their way out. But they just go, what's going on here? Hey, you cut that out, And I'm like, what the? And later on in the movie, Ray Fiennes even says, look, guys, all night long, it's like, look how many there are of you and how many there are of us. Why didn't you fight? Why didn't you get up and try and do something?
Yeah.
So he even calls attention to that. And then every time Libby and I are at a restaurant like this, like on our honeymoon, we stayed at this resort at Dunk Island in Australia.
Okay.
And the food was good.
Yeah.
But oh my God, it was just like, you get the duck with almond crusted shallots and something else, and it's just like, and so many times if I'm at a hoity-toity restaurant like that, I'm like, God, I just want a cheeseburger. I just want a burger so bad. And there's this part where Anya Taylor-Joy, she starts pissing off the chef, And she tells him, she's like, I don't like your food. I don't like the experience. I'm not having a good time. This wasn't prepared with love. And you suck. And something else. And he's like, well, what would you like to eat? She goes, you know what I'd like to eat? A cheeseburger. And he's like, I'll make you a cheeseburger. And he goes and he makes her a cheeseburger. I'm like, what the hell's going on here? And it's just really, really bad.
Yeah.
Really bad. Spoiler alert.
I ate at a restaurant. So I ate at a restaurant in Germany where you're looking at the menu. So
Right.
it actually had prices. I've heard people say, oh, if you're ever at the menu and there's no prices, then you can't afford it.
Right.
I've never been in a restaurant like that, but this one had $1,000 or €1,000 steak. It's
Okay.
actually, which would end up being 1,500 or 20. I think it was like $2,000 at that time
Okay.
that I was there
For a steak.
for a steak.
Okay.
It wasn't an exceptionally large steak. It was a steak, a normal steak, and it had gold foil on top of it, and you ate the gold.
And then you poop the gold.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I look at and I'm like,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
you could get a normal steak, which was the same steak. It was still like $150 or whatever,
Right.
but it didn't have the gold foil on it. And I'm in my head, I'm like, what is that, like $850 worth of gold there? It's like, oh, no, of course not. It is, we cannot sell.
Yeah.
Well,
yeah.
then what the,
Yeah.
then, you know.
Yeah.
Oof.
There
But
are,
I did eat.
Uh-huh.
I ate at hoity-toity place.
Uh-huh.
This was in Munich, and I did just want a cheeseburger.
Yeah.
I just want a cheeseburger. So I ordered their cheeseburger, and it came on like a wooden platter with like a knife over here and a fork over here, and it was all presented, and it had like this like things over top of it. And I'm like, okay, this is cute. And you had your own ketchup bottle, this tall, 2 or 3 inches tall, a mustard bottle, and then a mayonnaise bottle. And I'm like, I wanted to say, don't you have any of those little packet thingies where you can just squeeze it? And
Yeah.
And you're like, I have this glass bottle. Now I got to stick a knife in this damn thing to
Right.
get the stuff out.
Right.
And it's just, ugh. And you know, with the napkin that's cloth with the little frilly things on the end, and the knife had like a gold handle with the. I'm like, it's a god blessed cheeseburger.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah. Yeah.
Someone that orders a cheeseburger has really given up on a number of different things, or they're tired of a lot of different things.
Yeah.
So when you put this stuff in with the cheeseburger,
Yeah.
it just doesn't work. A lot like everything that I've said about the cheeseburger. So if you wouldn't mind, cut all that out. God.
Well, my dad, I remember there was a story about this restaurant in New York that had $1,000 steak.
Okay.
And I was telling him
it
about
must
that.
be a thing.
Yeah, and he looked at me and goes, Darin, I could buy a damn cow for $850.
Yeah.
The whole damn cow.
Yes.
And he's like, are you kidding me? And I was like, are you kidding me? He goes, no. Like the last time because Dad used to own cattle. He, not a whole, like a giant ranch full of them, but he owned 3 or 4.
Yeah.
And I think he paid $850 for one of them.
Yeah. Had some moors in there.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. Last week we were talking about superhero movies and how I think they're kind of dropping. And I went to see Ant-Man and the Wasp, Quantumania.
Okay, is that any good? Do you have to know anything going into it? Like what? I don't even know if I'm qualified.
Yeah, you got to know a few things. Not a lot.
They should have an online test. If you
Right.
pass the test, then you can go see the movie. If you don't, you need to watch
You've
XYZ.
seen Avengers Endgame,
Yes.
and you've seen the last 2 Ant-Man movies.
Yes.
So you know about the quantum realm. You know who Hank Pym and Janet
Yeah.
and Hope. You know all the characters. And
Yeah,
you know
they have an
and you know his
apartment
daughter,
together, and they all
Yeah.
think that Ant-Man's with Mr. Furley.
Cassie. That's
Oh,
right. Yeah, Ant-Man pretends to be gay so he can live with Chrissy and Janet.
Yeah.
Yeah. Wait.
And then Mr. Furley keeps coming over.
Exactly. You people need to not do that. Cause,
And then Roper somehow got in there.
Exactly. So I'm watching Ant-Man
Yeah.
and the Wasp, Quantumania.
Yes.
And okay, they're in the quantum realm.
Sounds like it's a WWE special.
It sounds like I keep wanting to call it Quadrophenia,
Yeah,
which was the Who album.
Yeah.
But Quantumania. No, you're it does say more.
You think Hulk Hogan's gonna come in there?
Pete Townsend
brother.
and Hulk Hogan get in the ring. Yeah, and Pete hits him with a guitar. Yeah. But like 90% of the movie is in the quantum realm.
Okay.
So the quantum realm itself is weird. It's foreign to us.
Yeah.
The movie was weird. It just got really weird.
Didn't they get trapped in the quantum realm at the end of the Ant-Man and the Wasp?
Ant-Man did.
Okay.
Yeah, and
so
he was
what
in
does
there.
Wasp go in there to find him?
Well, you know how he got out of the quantum realm.
No.
Yeah, you do. At the beginning of Avengers Endgame, the rat climbs across the thing and shoots him out. That's how he got out of the quantum realm.
Yeah.
And he was in it for 5 hours.
Okay.
But
Good Lord.
turns out
When does he fight?
5 years had passed.
When does he fight the Iron Sheik? Is that in the quantum?
That's in the next one.
Okay.
That's in Avengers Kang Dynasty.
Okay.
So this movie was weird.
Yeah.
And I did like it because Paul Rudd is he's fantastic.
I like Paul
in whatever
Rudd a lot,
he is.
yeah.
Whatever he's in, and Michelle Pfeiffer's great, and Michael Douglas is still a badass, even though he's got to be 80,
150.
yeah, something like that. But my favorite part of the movie is that there was a character
I'm sorry, I hate to interrupt you.
It's okay.
This determines whether I'm going to ever go see it.
Okay.
Does it have his buddy that tells a story?
Luis, no.
Louis. Oh,
I know.
okay.
I know.
I'm not going to see it.
I was because he was an integral part
Yes.
of what I enjoyed about the first two movies.
Yeah.
It's one of the reasons why this one fell short.
Yeah.
So in Ant-Man 1, there's Darin Cross, who was the...
was that the bald guy?
Yeah.
That
who was
in the suit
the yellow jacket, right? And then they're fighting in the bedroom.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, he returns.
Okay.
In Quadrophenia, Ant-Man and the Wasp, Quadrophenia.
Didn't he get squished or something?
He becomes MODOK.
Modark.
MODOK.
You got dark and you got Modark.
MODOK.
Is that like Murdoch?
No, MODOK, which is an anagram for something. On the disc of the thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. He becomes that giant head. The giant head that's in the gold plated thing with the little arms and the little legs.
Is that what that? Somebody said something about the little legs, and I had to look at the
Yes.
picture again.
Yes.
I thought that was just a picture from here up.
Right.
That's the whole body.
That's the whole body.
With your.
Yeah.
I can't.
So my buddy Jeff Brown, who designed our new logo.
Yes.
And Jeff Brown is just a Photoshop genius.
Yeah.
He puts my face in the MODOK suit.
Yeah.
And it's on our Irritable Dad Center page right now.
So is he the villain in this?
He is one of the villains. Kang is the time traveler villain who's like really, really, he's a bad guy. And everyone's like, oh, you thought Thanos is bad. You should see Kang, right? Right. Yeah. Whatever. So Kang is a bad guy, but MODOK is one of his cronies. But here's the thing. His name is Darin. Right? And all through the movie, hey, Darin. Yeah. Come on, Darin. Darin, what are you doing? Darin.
Yeah.
Hey, Darin.
Yeah.
And it's like over and over and over again.
You saw it coming.
Yeah, and then it's like I was loving it because people keep, Michael Douglas is saying my name, Paul Rudd is saying my name.
Yeah.
I was like, hey, it's Darin. I didn't know Darin was here. Come on over here, Darin. But at the end, Cassie, who is Ant-Man's daughter, she tells Darin that maybe you should not be a so don't be a Darin. It's my favorite part of Ant-Man. And it reminded me of when my buddy Shannon Brown and I went to see The Big Lebowski and Donnie. Okay,
up, Donnie.
You're out of your element.
You're out of your element.
When we saw The Big Lebowski, nobody had cell phones.
Yeah.
We watched that movie. We got out of the movie. We drove to my apartment as fast as we could. We got on the phone. We called Donnie and we said, shut the f*** up. You're out of your element. And we hung up.
Yeah.
On Donnie. I could not wait to do that.
Yeah. That one thing that lives rent-free in my head is shut the f*** up, Donnie. And then the part where Walter's exasperated with Donnie once again. And he says, you're like a child that walks into the middle of a movie and wants to... And he doesn't even get to finish the sentence, but it's there. I love it.
By the way, could you stop using Chinaman?
That's what he does. He
Yeah,
interrupts him.
yeah.
Asian American, please.
Asian American, please.
The Chinaman is not the issue here.
Market is 0, Smokey. Yeah.
This is not Nam. They're her rules. I had no idea that the Big Lebowski was a comedy when I first watched it.
Yeah.
I knew it was like people loved it and everything, and me and a friend of mine, we rented it and we sat down, we were watching it, and we were in tears laughing. And same thing, we didn't know anybody named Donnie, but he was
All I knew about Big Lebowski was that it was from the creators of Fargo.
Yeah.
And I absolutely loved Fargo.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so it's like, whatever I have to do, I'm going to go see this movie.
Yeah.
And yeah, was it as good as Fargo? No, it wasn't as good as Raising Arizona either.
Oh,
it was still really good.
I think
good.
Big Lebowski is one of my favorite movies of all time.
Really?
It is.
Okay.
It is. I can recite it.
I think
from beginning to end.
I think I put it third in my Coen Brothers.
Okay.
films. Yeah.
Okay. So you got Raising Arizona.
Raising Arizona.
Raising Arizona is an absolute classic.
Fargo.
I love Fargo.
Lebowski.
What do you mean? What the heck do you mean?
Yeah. Come on, Jerry.
What do you mean?
What the heck do you mean?
What the heck do you mean?
What the hell are you doing? You're trying to rob Peter to pay Paul here.
I even liked the Lady Killers with Tom Hanks. I liked that movie. Nobody liked that.
I mean, you and I were the ones who liked it.
Yeah.
Nobody else liked it.
But Big Lebowski for me. I mean, well, I don't know if you've looked at my car, but I have the bumper sticker, the Abide.
The Dude
I
Abide.
love the Dude. Oh my God.
Yeah.
And you saw when John Goodman got his star on the Walk of Fame, and Jeff Bridges came up with the sweater.
Yeah, it was awesome. It was really, really cool. And then after Lebowski, it's Oh Brother. We're out there.
I have never seen that in one sitting all the way through. I've seen parts of it. I've seen the entire thing because I know
George
John
Clooney
Goodman
at
is
his
the Cyclops.
Absolute best.
Yeah. So I made Best laugh her ass off over a mason jar.
How did you do that?
This may be bonus.
Okay.
So I don't know. I don't know if this fits in the whole episode.
Okay.
So we were cleaning. Okay. And there was a mason jar that was sitting on our island.
Yeah.
And going about our thing.
I
saw the mason jar.
I think I know what's going to happen here.
I saw the mason jar earlier in the morning, but I didn't. I get in trouble a lot because I will throw things away that I think nobody's using, or I will put them in the sink to be washed. And I saw this mason jar, and I'm like, we don't can.
Let's go put some green beans in this.
Why is there a mason jar here? But I'm not going to, I go about my thing. And then we go about our day. It's there. It gets to be like 2 or 3 o'clock. No one's acknowledging the mason jar. I said, what's the deal with the mason jar? And she says, do you want the mason jar? And I was like, I don't not want the mason jar, and I don't want the mason jar. I don't know why there's a mason jar here. She's like, I put it here. I'm like, why is it here? And she said, well, do you want it? And I said, I mean, you can put things in it or not. It's useful. And she said, do you want the mason jar? And I'm like we're about to get into an argument.
Right.
And I'm like, I don't care about that mason jar. I was about to throw away the mason jar. She said, why would you do that? I said, the only reason I didn't throw away the mason jar is because I thought it was your mason jar. She said, it is my mason jar. I was like, well, what are you talking to me about it for? And she says, I'm going to give this away in the Buy Nothing group. I've told you before on the podcast, the Buy Nothing group is this network of crazy people that give things away for free.
Hey, Sarah, they got a mason jar down the street.
Yeah. And so she says, I'm going to give it away on the mason jar. I'm like, I'm going to give it away on the Buy Nothing group. And I was like, you're going to give this away on the Buy Nothing group? And she said, yeah.
A jar.
And I said, you know what this jar means to me?
Well, before we go, I've got a question.
I would like to thank, before you jump in, I'd like to thank King Boomstick for following.
Oh, hi, King Boomstick. How you doing?
On the Twitches, as it were.
Back in the day on TV,
yes,
I remember, and I think this happened on the TV show Good Times.
Okay.
And I think it was JJ who had the problem with drinking.
Okay.
I think. It may have been his dad, but I don't remember his dad.
The only thing I know about Good Times is that the owner of McDowell's in Coming to America was in Good Times, but I never watched Good
John
Times.
Amos.
I was a Sanford and Son, Different Strokes.
Oh my God, Sanford and
Laverne
Son.
and Shirley,
Sanford
Three's
Son.
Company. Yeah. I didn't have any Alice.
Yeah.
with the diner. I didn't have room for any more sitcoms.
Right.
So Good Times just kind of fell off the wayside. Sounds like one I would really like, though.
It was good, yeah. It was really good. Norman Lear created it.
Hmm.
So, but I remember one of the characters, and again, I think it was JJ,
Okay.
started drinking.
Okay.
So what he did was he hid his booze in the toilet tank. Right?
Yeah.
And I don't know if you do this.
No.
But for a while, like if I was going to somebody's house,
Yeah.
occasionally I would look in their toilet tank to see if they had booze hidden in there. And I never found any booze in anybody's toilet tank, which made me think that this is probably it's bunk.
It's probably
it's cap.
bunk. See, yeah, we don't.
It's bet.
I don't hide our booze in the toilet tank because we have kids.
Right.
I hide it in juice boxes.
Wait, they drink the juice?
Well,
that explains Charlie.
Very well behaved. They go to bed early. Somebody's on the phone right now.
Yeah. Oh, no, I do have something else to talk about.
Okay.
The kids keep asking if I'll buy them ramen noodles. And, you know.
It doesn't seem like this is a major purchase decision. It's not like, yeah.
I mean, it's almost all salt.
Yeah.
It's all salt and carbs.
You're done for the week eating anything other than
exactly
vegetables after you do that to yourself.
So I was like, okay, fine. And so I bought a box of the chicken flavored ramen noodles.
It's the best kind.
Chicken's the best kind.
Chicken is the best kind.
Everybody knows that.
The beef is weird.
It is weird. The beef is kind of pungent.
Yeah.
And don't even try the shrimp. Good
I've
Lord.
never even looked twice. I looked at the shrimp like that's an abomination.
Okay. True story. I know a guy who ate the shrimp. Dead. So I bought the chicken, and the kids asked if they could have ramen, and I'm like, okay. So I'm making ramen noodles. Cameron wants to eat his raw. He wants to take the brick and just crunch.
Yeah.
And I'm like, no, your stomach won't digest that. Yeah, it will. Like, I know it won't. It's like, you're going to wish that you hadn't done that.
Yeah, it's going to suck all the moisture from his body.
Exactly. Dehydrated, then dead. Just like my friend Tony who ate the shrimp.
Yeah.
So he takes one of the little, there's always the little crumblies around, and he takes that and takes a bite of it and he goes, tastes like college. What the hell does that mean?
All right.
Yeah. So, but I'm a good dad, and I bought him ramen noodles.
There you go.
And you would have thought that I had made him $1,000.
Now, did you buy him the brick ramen noodles with a little flavor pouch, or did you buy him the cup of noodle that already comes in the?
No, I bought him the one. Then you put it, and then you run it through the colander. Then you put it in the bowl. Then you put the flavor pouch on it, and then you
colander.
The strainer, don't you have a colander that you pour spaghetti in that gets all the water out of the noodles?
You don't do that to ramen noodles.
That's what I do. I pour it through the colander, then I plop it into the bowl.
No.
Yeah.
What the hell?
I don't pour out.
Where were you raised?
I don't put Virginia.
The water. You mix the flavor into the water thing there, and then you eat the noodles from the. You don't strain out the water.
I do. Yeah.
Are you out
I don't
of
strain
your
out all the
frickin' mind?
I don't want soup.
That's what it is.
You eat it like you eat spaghetti. You just eat the pasta.
No.
Yes.
No. That's not how that works. Look, ramen is noodle soup. I'm not the only one.
Well, King Boomstick, when you get your own podcast, you can.
It's healthier that way.
It is.
It is. I mean, a lot of the sodium goes away in the water. You don't.
Well, then
you don't drink.
Oh no, I would.
Psycho.
I would.
No.
Do you drink your milk after you eat your cereal?
No, because I start thinking about cow. I can't. When I first start eating the cereal,
52 years old. I eat my cereal.
No, I can't.
I throw the bowl. I throw the 2, 3, 4. I throw the bowl back, and I enjoy every drip of that milk.
This is how my brain works.
Cow.
When I have cereal, let's say Lucky Charms. All right, I have the Lucky Charms in the bowl. I pour the milk. At that point, it's not milk; it's white liquid that the Lucky Charms are in.
Yeah.
I finish them the instant. The last Lucky Charm is not in there. Cow. Yeah. That's all I'm thinking. It's like there's nothing. There's no difference from me drinking this out of the bowl as to me going out to Farmer Bob's pasture, getting on one of those.
Just put your mouth right on it.
Get
on
a
town.
skateboard, get into there, and roll with it.
Get on a skateboard. Just go right under the cow.
Go right under the cow.
Lock on.
Can't do it. Can't. I'm serious about that. I cannot do it.
I can't drink the milk fast enough.
Ice cream, I don't even think about it because I don't know any cold cows. Butter, I know what that is, but I don't think of it.
Yeah.
Sometimes with cheese, when I start eating cheese, I'm fine. After about the 4th or 5th bowl of it, I start to think,
wait, you eat 5 bowls of cheese?
What? After a healthy amount of it, I start to think this is just milk that went bad and someone found a way to eat it, which is what most food is.
Cottage cheese, yeah.
That's what it is.
Thanks for watching the raw recording of Irritable Dad Syndrome. If you'd like to hear more episodes that don't sound like total garbage, check us out at irritabledadsyndrome.com.